Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and anybody else joining me here today. We are looking at a new style of video for the Sheff United Way. We are looking at how to spend £20 million ahead of the summer transfer window. We want to give you the breakdown on where we think Sheffield United need to improve and who some realistic transfer targets might be. We're going to go through position by position. We're going to give you three options. One, who we think is realistic and who would be our ideal, and then a high value option and a low value option for us to consider what we think is best. So let's get straight into it. So, starting with goalkeepers. Now, what does Sheffield United need from a goalkeeper? We currently have 𝗍𝗍𝗶𝗲, who I believe has been a fantastic servant for Sheffield United over these last two seasons. I think he's done a really commendable job, particularly following Robin Olsen at the end of last season when we had that run to the playoffs. I thought he was outstanding during that time. This season, I think, has been a little bit of a step down. I think he's still had a very good season. However, with Sheffield United stepping into the Premier League, is it time that we start to think about a potential option, somebody who could maybe be a little bit of an upgrade? What I'm talking about is somebody who is going to be a top-class shot stopper who can win points for Sheffield United despite having to make a significant number of saves. They're going to need to be alert, they're going to need to be confident, they're going to need to be able to command their box. We're looking for somebody who, with the ball, they're not asked to do too much. We're not looking for Henderson. We're not trying to pump it to the wings and play really nice through balls. But they need to be confident enough that they can pick their passes to the defenders in front of them. They need to be confident in their way of finding the angles to get it out to the right, to the left, and through the centre if Egan is the right option. And we want them to be a leader. Sheffield United have had fantastic goalkeepers recently in terms of leadership from the back. I think Dean Henderson was the #1 example of this, and how much he organised and strengthened that back line when he was behind it, keeping them on task and making sure that everybody knew that 18-yard box was his space. And that's what I think Sheffield United are going to be looking for this summer. So who have I chosen as our #1 focus for the goalkeeper position? It is Victor Johansson, the current Rotherham #1 and a player who has been able to break into the Sweden national team in recent months. Now, do we think this is realistic? Yes. Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why. Despite signing a new contract last January, Victor Johansson does still play for Rotherham United. Rotherham's all-time record sale is just under £2.5 million. And so they will be in the market if United can put forward a tempting offer, which I believe in this instance would be around £5 to £7 million. Rotherham have already got a backup keeper who we've seen a little bit of this season, who they know is capable of stepping up. So they also won't be worried about finding a replacement, which may again make that a tempting prospect to bring him in. But what would he bring to Sheffield United? Well, he has all the qualities that I've outlined that we need from a goalkeeper and more. His command of his area is excellent. He is a tall goalkeeper. He's capable of coming out, collecting crosses, and he's really good at organising the defence in front of him. Despite only being 24 years old, which is a fantastic age for a goalkeeper, he is really mature. We saw at Bramall Lane how good he is in reaction as well. He made 3, 4, 5 outstanding saves that won his team points that were absolutely valuable for them being able to stay up. And that's what we need next season. We need somebody who's capable of making the match-winning saves and really being the difference maker in those really tight games when it could be 0-0, but for a decent effort, but for a goalkeeping mistake, we want somebody who's capable of saying, no, this will be 0-0. We will win 1-0. And I think Victor Johansson is more than capable of doing that. With the ball, obviously, he's been playing at Rotherham this season, and they do play a more direct style, but he has shown he is capable of finding those angles. I think all goalkeepers these days are capable of playing a little bit with the ball at their feet. And while he isn't a standout in that attribute, he is more than good enough. In terms of his shot stopping, I've broken down that I think he's great. But what really emphasises this is that he has the most shots saved this season in the Championship. That shows how much pressure he's been put under and that he's been able to stand up to that challenge. He also has the second highest goals prevented rating. Now, what does goals prevented mean? It's the XG of all the shots that were on target compared to how many goals they actually conceded. And he conceded just over 6 goals less than would be expected, which is a fantastic return for a goalkeeper. And as I say, the second best in the Championship. For me, this is a standout option and a no-brainer if Sheffield United are looking for a new #1 goalkeeper. We do have other options though, and as promised at the start, we will give you a higher value option and a lower value option. And starting with the higher value option, we are going to talk about a man who all Sheffield United fans are very, very familiar with, and that is Dean Henderson. Now, Dean Henderson, his career since leaving United has not gone quite the way he was hoping. He thought he would go back and challenge to be #1 at Manchester United, but unfortunate injuries at the wrong time have meant he's just not really been able to really put David De Gea under any kind of pressure for that #1 shirt. He spent this last season out on loan again. He's been with Nottingham Forest. For the first 6 months, he did all right up until January. He was a decent goalkeeper for them, but unfortunately picked up an injury and was then replaced by Keylor Navas. So he's still in a little bit of limbo. He's still very much not being able to progress his career the way he has wanted to since leaving Sheffield United. So could he come back? Now, realistically, I think this would be a loan move. I think he would have 12 months left, at least, on his deal at Manchester United. And I don't think at this stage we're in a position to be able to offer the kind of transfer fee that they would need. We also know he's on a massive wage. He signed a huge bumper contract the last time he left Sheffield United to retain his place at Manchester United. Are we going to be able to cover his wages? We don't know. But we do know that within that £20 million, we haven't accounted for quite significant loans that we want to be able to cover this season. And so is this an option? Is the door slightly open? Does it make me a little bit tingly inside? Yes to all. Maybe it's going to be Dean Henderson. And then we come to our lower priced option. And this is another one who, to be honest, I think this is a good chunk of goalkeepers. Any one of these three, I think, would be successful for Sheffield United. And our third option is Seny Dieng. He would be available for around the £1 million mark, leaving QPR. He has 12 months left on his deal. And to be honest, he's coming off a fairly disappointing season. QPR themselves have had a shocker. They are struggling financially and are potentially looking at FFP difficulties if they don't sell players. Seny Dieng's stock has fallen slightly after having 2 fantastic seasons in the Championship prior to the start of 22-23. In fact, in 2021 and 21-22, he performed considerably above his expected goals conceded and actually prevented more than 15 goals across those 2 seasons combined. That is the level of goalkeeper he can be when he is at his best. Sadly, it didn't work out for him last season, and he actually conceded more than you would have expected. But that can happen in a team that's a lack of confidence and really, really struggling in that kind of battle. He is currently rumoured to be going to Stade de Reims in France, but I think there's an opportunity there that we could hijack that deal, particularly for a spot in the Premier League, and also reuniting with international teammate 𝗟𝗓𝗓. I do get quite excited by Seny Dieng, and that's because I've seen him score a goal. He scored one for QPR, I think it was last season, and a goal-scoring goalkeeper. What more could we need? That's really what this quiz is all about. Not how many goals you presented, but how many did you score? Right? That is our potential options for a new goalkeeper for Sheffield United. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and let me know if you like this style of video by hitting that like button. If you think we should keep League One Wes, let me know in the comments. If you've got a different goalkeeper you think would be an outstanding option for Sheffield United, let me know in the comments. And we will see you soon for us to go through some defenders who we think are really good options for Sheffield United.